You back. I want to make sure everybody knows. It's great.
Okay, it's 6:30, everyone, welcome. We'll go ahead and call our meeting to order. Taking roll call, please note that all directors are here in person. Do I have a volunteer to the mission and vision statement? Thanks, Aaron.
At Decorah Community School District, we embrace student learning and well-being as our fundamental purpose. We will, in partnership with our students, families, and community, make the world a better place. The mission of the Decorah Community School District is learning, thriving, creating our legacy. The vision of the Decorah Community School District is the Decorah Community School District will be a collaborative, innovative, learning-centered organization, empowering students to embrace their personal strengths and create their future.
Okay, so the purpose of tonight's special board meeting is to review the elementary school bid results with Miron Construction and Emergent Architecture. And then talk through our bid alternates. And we have some experts from two teams. We have Nick Hildebrandt and Patty Spawart here from Emergent Architecture. And then we also have Blake from Miron. So thank you all for the miles that you traveled to be here in person. And just as a review, our school project bids were opened last week on Wednesday. And companies were announced, and then your teams got to work and put together the bid results. And I'm really excited to have you here in person so we can talk through those together and share this good news far and wide in our community. So who would like to begin?
Is Tom on also?
He's on Zoom, yeah.
Yep. Hey guys, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Yeah.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for joining us from a distance.
Excellent.
So,
Absolutely.
start with the high overview part of it from the first page for the how things came in.
Well, and Tom, I thought we have some visuals prepared for tonight. And I
Yeah,
don't know
of
if
course.
you want to, if you have the share those from your end, or if you would like
Yep.
Tim to share them from our
Okay.
end.
I just sent a share request.
Yeah, we got it.
All right.
And you just got approved to share.
Cool. All right. Sharing screen. Okay. Can everybody see that?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's great. And if you maximize that screen, it would be even better.
All right.
That might be the.
Or is that us?
I think that's us. I think tech, the guy in the chair has to make it bigger.
Okay. How's that?
It looks great.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. And then we also have the the summary sheet, the overall summary sheet available as well. And most of this is summarized on the next page, a little more plainly put, a little more direct to the point. But happy to report that we have great news. We came in under budget expectations by quite a bit, by over $4 million. So I've seen those things. Sometimes you get lucky on the aggressive end, and sometimes you get unlucky on the unaggressive end. And so I think it bodes well for the local community. Their hunger for the job. A lot of good, accountable, pre-qualified bidders bid on it. If you start to look through sort of the second place bidders, if you will, the second place bidding seems to be more along the lines of kind of what we were expecting. So but overall I thought it'd be nice to be able to compare sort of apples to apples and look at the difference. So if you look, the column on the left is sort of pre-bid cost estimating. We're expecting a construction subtotal of $43,561,561, and on bid day that total came in at $38,561,561. 766, 646. So it's a savings of 4,794,000, which, like I said, is great news. The next apples to apples comparison is the owner procured items, and basically what that entails is the playgrounds at $500,000, the FF&E at a little over 1.1, the surveillance and a couple other odds and ends, the stuff, asbestos abatement, that kind of thing. So those are unchanged.
Tom, Tom, while you're on that topic, do you want to pull up in the Excel there? You can kind of show all those pieces just so it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
This table
Yeah.
here. Yep.
So
Yep. That helps. So, yeah, so we have budgets ready to rock for these things that kind of happen later that are sort of owner direct. Like, for example, just from an insurance standpoint and everything else, hazardous materials abatement does have to be by the property owner, insurance wise. So that's where that's held. So that'll be a direct contract with the district.
Tom, could you make it just a little larger? There's some
Yep.
of you can't see very well. That is.
All right. No, I get you. Yeah, I don't want to be squinting. Okay, yeah. So these are kind of these owner items, so to speak. You have the hazardous material abatement. You have the FF&E, which stands for furniture, fixtures, and equipment. So in other words, like desks and things. The playground equipment and installation. So we've always kind of reserved $500,000 for different playground apparatuses, if you will, the actual play structures themselves, as well as the surface beneath them. That's kind of a package deal. So we have some money reserved for that effort. We have scoreboards, we have testing and inspection, we have video surveillance, and some phenolic lockers that during the VE process kind of got moved from the construction scope to kind of more in the FF&E category, if you will. So none of those, obviously we didn't take bids on the FF&E, so none of these values have changed. So it basically between here, let me back up. I don't mean to be bouncing around. We always like to start at the end, talk about the good news, go back up, and then you can kind of see how we got to the number. But what we have is the Excel spreadsheet automatically infilling the apparent low bid in each category. I have precast concrete highlighted just because depending on which alternates get selected, that the low bid may change. That happens sometimes when you have this many alternates. Somebody might be low on the base bid, but not low on an alternate, for example. So again, apparent low, subject to change type of thing.
And one thing, Tom, real quick, I want to point out, I was trying to remember, but one thing I was going through and I was on the count up, but I know Wix is a local contractor. Daryl Berger, I believe, is out of Waukon or in the local. Pinhole Construction doing the gyp board was local. The painting, it shows Poindexter, but again, depending on alternates, things we talked about, that'll be a local painter, blanking Hackman and Carlin is what's looking like for them on the painting. Casper Plumbing, A&G, I believe both local around here. And then Wix again, and then I think towards the very bottom, Skyline. So I thought, a lot of local interest. I think that helped drive kind of where costs came in. Because I talked with each of those contractors afterwards, make sure that difference in numbers, like, hey, are we good? And they're like, oh, we're taxpayers and we want to make sure it's done right and done at a good cost. So I did reach out to all the contractors on that. So I think that was really what helped also drive some of that.
Thank you for doing that. And I want us to all just take a moment to just smile together. This is incredible news. Incredible news. And I know that we've been just dreaming and thinking and worrying and maybe a little bit afraid, just wondering, but the process worked. And we're here today to celebrate that we're able to really move forward with the project that we dreamed of. And really we're going to put every tax dollar to work and be within our means of the project. And we couldn't have done that, of course, without the support of our local contractors. But thank you to Emergent and Miron for guiding the way. I'm really thrilled to be in the position that we are today. This is exciting.
Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack you there, Tom, but I just wanted to highlight that since we were there.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's perfect. Good thing to highlight. And yeah, we're excited too. So thanks, Cindy. Yeah, excited to get started here. So then just the next few categories are basically unchanged since the very beginning. The GCs, GRs is kind of that was planned on our proposal. In case anybody wants to know what environmental controls allowance is once more. That's basically any dollars that we need to spend to control the weather, whether hot or cold or humid. So that's that kind of allowance. And then we have a building permit. We have some below the line items like insurance, which is basically just a multiplier in place. Reproduction expenses is a little budget for any kind of plan printing and as-built printing that we need for the school's records and things of that sort. Contingent.
Tom, just to be clear, because I know it may come up. We have insurance requirements twice. I believe ones are the general insurance, and then the other ones are actual builder's risk insurance. So I don't know if we want to change the 2% to say builder's risk insurance.
Oh, right.
Just so that there's clarity that that's not something that was doubled up. The 6.5% is like our general insurance policy, but we'll be carrying the builder's risk. I think that was what was asked for us to carry it in lieu of the owner, which we usually get a better rate anyway. So I think it was a good idea going that way. So just to
Right.
clarify.
Actually, okay, we might have to revisit one thing, Blake, and it might be just that I'm going a little cross-eyed. I feel like I'm missing the design and estimating contingency.
I think that's what that 2% was.
Actually, that's what that is, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
That was supposed to be,
Yeah,
that used to be.
yeah.
design-
Yeah,
design-
somehow that
that's
text
okay.
got changed in there. That's weird. But yeah, this was supposed to be
Design contingency.
well, you know what? As long as we're on the meeting, I better double, triple check that. Okay, I want to get back with Daniel. I don't want to promise allocating this unless Blake, without a shadow of a doubt.
That is what it is. Yeah, I can confirm that.
Okay. So sorry, folks.
I wouldn't change anything, but so.
Daniel,
Yeah.
so that could be just the product of text getting messed up in this particular cell. I mean, all this has already been emailed out officially on the PDF version, so everybody's got a record of it. But this particular Excel sheet might be wrong for the label here. Anyway, but if that is design and estimating contingency, then that would just move to owner contingency, or go back to the district for their purposes down here. If that is the case. Let's see. Okay, so right. Yep, utility relocation, new service allowance, that's unchanged. Tariff allowance, that's as part of the prime contract clause. If you remember the CM at risk contract, the AIA A133 contract, we have a clause in there to just kind of try to counteract some of the unforeseen unknowables for this particular time in history. If we we're going through the bidding process and all of a sudden like a giant tariff gets put in place and it's a force majeure, something we didn't foresee, that's what that would be reserved for. Good news is that now that we're on the other side of bidding, once we lock in the GMP, get all the contracts in place, we sort of lock in all the trade partners who also lock in their suppliers and so on down the chain. So very, very quickly after the GMP amendment, we can either right size the tariff allowance or credit it back if it's not going to be necessary. Okay. Just other sort of pre-con fees from the proposal, and then our fee from the proposal. In the inflation line, we moved that to 0 now that we don't have any more time to elapse before bid day, so that's good. Performance and payments bonds included. And that's all what the 36,543 is comprised of. And then from there, we had a basic equation for Emergent in their line item. Patty, I did receive your email today that gets this a little bit more precise now that we know what the bid alternates are. The fee structure is just a smidge different from Patty, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like something a little bit different on the first 80% than it is on the bid alternates or something, right?
Correct, right, yep.
Right. So this is a multiplier for now, and then once we have everything sort of locked in over here on the right side, if something is approved or not approved, then that will kind of manipulate this number a little bit. But we're trying to at least get a close enough number on each bid alternate ad, so that we're accurate big picture wise. Okay, we kind of talked about the owner provided items. Anyways, so with the construction cost, the design costs, all the owner provided items, that gets you to like an overall overarching full umbrella big cost for the whole project as a whole is $40,728,646. Okay. All right, now we go over to this one. Okay, and so what this 38,766,000 is, I know you didn't necessarily see a 38.7 number on the last screen. Alls it is this 40,728,000 minus the stuff up here. So we just arranged it a little differently on the other one. So basically all this stuff moved underneath, so that we can have a good conversation about bid alternates. So again, the owner procured items.
Tom, quick note on those owner procured items. One thing on there, you've got 120,000 for the hazardous material asbestos removal, and Curtis, who's here, did talk to Tom Haas, who's kind of the asbestos guru, and he thinks 100,000 is probably plenty. So just another example of we're paying that anyway because it's owner procured, but for the board knows that we do kind of have a ballpark number that would make that go a little lower.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, as soon as we have the quote, do we want to try to get the official number before we do the GMP, or you want to just kind of leave it as an allowance for now?
That doesn't pull into it since it's the owner. Our GMP will actually be set with that 37 or 36 million. Everything underneath it, so GMP will be all the stuff below it. Everything below that 36 is just for the owner to know where they're at as a combination. So that's nothing from GMP wise, and that stuff, all that stuff we need to discuss throughout this week. So I don't want to go down GMP type stuff today, but that's the things we need to discuss throughout this week. We're setting that next week. So, but I always want to stay on track with the main focus is the alternates. So that way we can pull those in to the contract, finalize what that number looks like, your percentages, and some of the other industry type items. So.
Oh, sure. Yep. Okay. Alright. Okay. So then this 38 million number plus owner procured items is what gets you to this 40,728,646, just like from the last screen. Now that would be your project total if no alternates are selected at all. The bid alternates themselves, we were kind of expecting them to come around about 1.2 million, maybe a little over. And they came in at 1.133 million. So we're a little less than expected in that category as well. So if tonight the board decides that all these alternates still seem sort of top of mind, top of the totem pole, very high priority, let's get them in. If you selected all of them, the project total outlook right here would be $41,862,007. So that helps you begin with the end in mind. Any questions on that before we get into each bid alternate? Okay. And then the bid alternates down below. So and hopefully everybody has seen this this handout, but page one, like I said, is high level. Okay, here's the budget. How do we come in? How much health do we have to make these decisions about alternates? That's that. The page two is the alternates list themselves. We kept it as a big list to give ourselves lots of flexibility on bid day, which is a good thing because most of these can probably get added back in. So there's 1 out of 16. Rather than read each one, we're gonna see each one in the next the subsequent pages here. So I'll just go into the first one, which is bid alternate 1.
Just 1 second, Tom.
Yep.
How would you, I think it's best to go one by one and decide, if we think it's worth it or not. I mean, is it a vote, or I guess, how do you proceed? We can kind of give the overview, answer any questions, and then is it vote from there? I guess, what's this process look like to
We
you?
will have a final vote to approve or not, bid alternates, just so we can continue planning and moving forward. And with the board, there are pages for each one. There's a list of 15. Some of those can be talked about together. Are we okay to dive in?
I'm gonna
Is there a
suggest,
process?
yeah, we could have probably had them ranked as our prioritized, and that would have, again, if we were really tight, I thought this was gonna be a meeting on what we're taking out, whereas what we're putting in. I might just suggest we just start from 1, we go through, and we can just kind of give you yeah, we're probably gonna keep that in, or that's a definite yes. Then we get all done and we can look at the big picture, because it's possible we might want to adjust and say, oh, I don't want to, we're at a higher number than I think we should be at. Let's go back, and the ones we were kind of wondering about were 1 and 4. Let's look at those side by side, but
Okay.
I think it could be pretty quick. Because again, these were bid alternates for a reason, because we did want them at some point in time. So I'm not saying a rating scale, I would just say yes, no, or probably would be our.
So we'll just go through, give a high level overview, answer any questions for each one, and then come back.
I think when we're done, we can just kind of give you does the board feel good about this one, maybe thumbs up or something. Yeah,
Just want to make sure we're all on the same page, how we want to go about it, so.
Yeah.
And then in the end, we'll do a final.
yeah, we'll do a final vote. Yeah, the thumbs up is not an official board vote.
All right.
Not an
All right.
Robert's rules or anything like that.
Cool. All right. Okay. And so then also, just being that this is the first one, I'll just kind of explain this too, is we try to, the top of the page is the header, bid alternate 1, add tennis court outbuilding. There's going to be a paragraph on the left side that sort of gives just a brief summary of what we're talking about. And then on the right, there'll be a summary of costs, and all those costs, just to show you where they come from. is the big spreadsheet. So we don't have to keep bouncing around here, but like, so this column right here, column K, is the outbuilding. And you can see what each of the low bids bid for that particular alternate. And you kind of gotta, like for the tennis court outbuilding, this is a nice little example because you're gonna have, let me pan over. You're gonna have building concrete, you're gonna have precast, you're gonna have masonry, you're gonna have steel, you're gonna have general trades. You're gonna have roofing, a little bit of tile because there's 2 bathrooms in there, and then you got your plumbing and electrical.
And Tom, can you go back up to the top?
Yep.
So, for example, Wix Construction has the precast bid amount, but they also bid on alternate number 1. And there's a possibility that if we didn't take alternate 1, we might go back and look and say, oh, somebody else bid lower than the bid amount, but we included Wix because their bid amount plus alternate 1 plus whatever alternates, they were the lowest overall.
Yeah, there's a handful, and so yeah, Wix does have, because there's a cast in place, but like, I want to say precast is one, roofing's another one.
It's really just those two.
I think it's those 2, so I think there's 2 that, yeah, may show iconic and another roofing. But depending on which alternates are taken, that, because that ends up going to the final number, and then that's what we look at.
Yeah, and I just wanted to,
Yep.
that was referenced earlier, and just kind of help people understand that's because they bid not only the amount for the project, but they might have bid on the alternates that it goes together, so.
Yep.
Anyway,
And,
so it all
and so
depends on who we add in for those 2.
Yep, exactly. And so so accounting for that on the precast side. So again, so the short story for this one is that the second low, their alternate number was 27,822. However, their base bid was $9,211 high. So if we didn't go with the tennis court outbuilding, 940 is just your precast number. If you did go with the precast, or if you did go with the outbuilding, then again, we got to go with the lower bid on the outbuilding. But then it also comes with, switching bidders. So if this outbuilding all of a sudden becomes, added to the scope, then the lowest contractor changes. Okay, so back to the. All right, so that's why in this one precast has 2 lines. This is the cost of the actual precast, and then this is the cost of having to switch contractors. I believe the low bid was 69 or 67,000, right, Blake? Or I can look it up.
I'd say, yeah, we don't have to get all the weeds on that, Tommy. If there's any questions, we can kind of go back through.
Right, yeah. Oh, 69.6, that's what it was. Yep. So anywho, all right. So not to make the first one a complicated one, but that's there's a lot of moving pieces to this guy. The subtotal is 181,544. With the soft cost multipliers down below, like insurance, contingency, design, bonds, fees, and stuff like that. It has those adders, and so for a grand total, the grand total is 202,834. If we don't select this, the base bid, sorry, it's a little fuzzy, I suppose, but the base bid kind of looks like this, where the fence is just going to have a gate here and then run its way out until it tees against the main tennis court fence. And it'll just be like that with no outbuilding there. If we
would be plumbing and electrical rough ends out to it, so if it was done at a later date, you would have that there, but again. It's up to you on that.
And as a
Right.
reminder for the board, not only during the school day, this could be used as, the bathrooms could be unlocked and be used by students. So they wouldn't have to, as someone who's done recess duty, but for years ago, you don't have to open up the door and have the children walk down or walk with them. They could literally be I'll walk over and use the bathroom over there. So that, as a former elementary principal, it seems like a no-brainer. But
As a tennis mom,
yeah,
I would say that it's really important to have the bathrooms and water out there. And also as somebody who uses a tennis courts in the summer, which we know is going to happen, that is really important to have out there. And I know that the tennis coaches are would really appreciate the storage, the tennis storage.
Right, so this enhancement or this part of the project is gonna benefit not only our students, but our entire district, also the community.
Right, very much so.
I agree. I mean, I think it was probably something on the top of our list of what we wanted to do as an alternate when we talked about it, so.
Yeah.
so I think we're gonna say except for that one.
Does anyone have
Well,
any
I
questions
don't
or?
mean to rush us.
No, I don't have any concerns. The things that I highlighted as we went through this are, you know, we still have to pay for these somehow, and there's a few of these alternates that I think would be great opportunities to outreach to the community for donations. And this is one of the ones that I think would fall in that category, because it will see a lot of community use. And it benefits beyond just our elementary students.
We did talk a little bit in a morning meeting about the procedures of if we take it out of the project, we have to turn around and bid it. There's a little bit of, I don't know, is it gonna come in any cheaper? Obviously, we would have to pay the contingencies, but some of those people bid it on, I'm already here kind of thing. And maybe, I don't know if there would be a frustration on the bidders, like, why do I have to bid this again? But that's just things that we talked about.
But I hear you, and I've also been thinking about like, how can we?
Yes, and let me clarify, I didn't mean Tim to secure donation for it later. I mean, now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's how you took my comment. I just wanted to clarify. I just think that there are certain things that are benefiting the community. And we can,
So you're saying like we would have included in our project tonight and then maybe do some fundraising afterwards to help offset our cost at the end.
we're gonna have to pay for it
Yeah.
somehow. And we have 2 years.
Yeah, that makes more sense, yeah, because otherwise.
Like sponsor.
That-
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what, yeah.
No, I did not mean delay. to do that.
The only question I have on the outbuilding is it's listed as heating, and I was curious what heating actually meant. Are we keeping an ambient temperature, or trying to keep it at 45 in the winter, or are we talking like this is the ice shack down by the park,
A warming house.
a warming house.
That's, I think originally we weren't gonna heat it, right, but plans use the bathrooms year round, I think is what
Right.
changed that.
Right,
so
it's going to be the same amount of insulation no matter what, so it's up to the district with what temperature you guys wanna set it at. But that would enable it to be. Yeah.
It's made out of
course.
precast, which has insulation built into it, so it's able to be heated, and the roof has insulation in it.
Which means that at the spring tennis meets, when there's snow flying, that everyone can
That's
still
exactly
use the bathrooms. And the water will be turned on.
Yes.
Okay.
Or
And-
during winter recesses.
Winter
Right.
recess.
Yeah, just warm enough to not let the pipes freeze.
Right.
Really.
There's drinking fountains outside, they would have to be drained, but that would be the only.
If we decided to put solar panels on the top of this, is this roof such that we would be able to hold the panels?
I wouldn't put solar panels over here because that needs to connect to all your electrical system. And so it's not a very big roof and it's very far away from the building. So like the energy usage, you certainly could if you kind of wanted a standalone system, but a lot of the cost of that is integrating it into your electrical panel. And so it's kind of would be a lot of cost for maybe not very much electrical use. It'd be better to do that over lots of the main part of the building. It definitely would hold panels, though. It's almost a storm shelter.
Which is actually a great thing to have.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
Move on to number 2.
Right. It's
On to number 2.
Yeah,
Alrighty. Okay, bid alternate 2. Add artificial turf to play areas. So the base bid was you had these fields, but they were seeded instead of artificial turf. And so the bidders were asked to provide seed in the base bid and then give us a bid alternate for synthetic play surface. So, or I should hold on. I don't want to misspeak. Not synthetic play surface, artificial turf. That's what we need to call it. Because I don't want to get it mixed up with what you see in blue here under the playgrounds. So, but yeah. So this is how that came in. The site concrete has an element of this. Basically, it kind of wraps all the way around the synthetic play turf, almost like a edging, like a border, so to speak. So there's an element of site concrete. The artificial turf system itself, and then there's a credit aspect of this for the landscaper not having to spray the hydro seed all over the fields. Where it's going, scroll down a little bit. So again, the big play lawn over here on the west side, and then on the east side, the artificial turf is this unique shape right here, as well as the little berm, that play berm thing right here. Okay. And so the grand total on that one was 289,186. Yeah, so that's pretty that one in a nutshell.
I believe this is one that the teachers were pretty like.
Yeah, I've been pretty vocal about this one. If the teachers ask for it, I'm for it. If it's gonna make recess more manageable year round.
Yeah, you're really losing, think about it too, I mean, you're losing the tennis courts too, we had for someone that is, and yeah.
So does this artificial turf drain moisture down through it?
Yeah.
So the concrete is just around the outside?
Yeah, it's like a curve kind of on the edge of it. Yeah.
Yeah, make sure weeds don't grow into it.
The point of having the concrete around the outside is what?
Pretty much maintenance, so like when you're weed eating and everything, you're not getting into the actual surface itself, and just giving that a buffer room, or probably could mow it more than having to weed eat all the way around it, so it's just kind of a I think they actually just call it a mow strip, technically what
It's a termination of the stuff into the edge of the concrete too, so it has a thickness to it, and then it has, like rubber and stuff and that type of stuff, as well as rock underneath of it for the drainage, and then that all comes into the concrete curve that's on the edge of it. Otherwise, it would just kind of spill into the dirt.
And there's drain tile for it too, which brings it to the basin, so it's not just leaching and type of thing where it can get oversaturated.
Is it a raised curve?
I think it's flush with the, right, so it just would look like a strip of concrete. I believe it's on the one that you have it.
Just gonna
At the middle.
It's at the middle.
Yep, same.
Yeah, parts of it is underneath, and it just ties in that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, cause you don't really notice it. I didn't notice it.
No, you didn't. Mhm.
big upgrade from a mud puddle.
We wanna keep Tori smiling on us.
Does anyone have concerns about including turf as described?
The only thing I would raise is that we did hear from city council, at least a member or two of city council, some concerns about putting in turf instead of having grass and what that looks like for children. And I've heard both sides from teachers as well. I mean, I've heard a couple that are like, yeah, let the kids dig in the dirt and find the worms and play with the dandelions. And I heard the other that's the kids come in messy, and it's like, well, they're also kids. So,
Yeah, I was thinking of that too, Aaron. And I will say, like, I spent 12 years taking kids out to dig for worms and dirt. And the reality is recess is not that long. And the more time they have to spend cleaning up or preparing for it, the less outside time they get. And there'll be times and opportunities for digging in the dirt around that. But I still think that like having an open space for them to run around is more important.
And there'll still be grass outside this that they're able.
There
to get
is,
to.
yeah, there is. With
Some-
trees.
Someone actually, it was one of the landscape people, had said, that's a good size space. We're talking the school using it, also the community. He was measuring it out and everything. He's like, yeah, you can get your 8U, 10U baseball team and do a pretty good long toss on something like that. So, think over the summer, if we're letting the community use a space, this would be a space where it rained the night before, can't get on any fields. They could use this as a practice facility type thing as well, if that's allowable. But yeah, he pointed that out, that it'd make a really good, baseball turf as well to play on.
I think this turf really, it's really about March, April, May. I mean, that's the issue for why we want turf.
For this year, the
Because
first week in January.
Yeah. Driven by and see what the.
All of school, pretty much.
At the elementary school.
All right. Okay, any more questions or discussion on the turf? And again, I don't know if like we said, we can make decisions collectively all at the end if we want, but.
yeah, I think I think we're putting it as a positive at this point in time, and then.
If we're on for the final.
Yeah. That's one question before we move on. What's the lifespan on this?
Let's say 25.
What do they usually kind of say
15.
15 to 20, and it has, just like everything, it has some maintenance to it and supposed to be brushed and cleaned and added to.
But I think with that 15 to 20 year replacement, the base layers can stay. It's just the top turf layer that would need to be replaced.
We did the turf at the middle school relatively recently. Was that after a certain amount of time?
No, it was grass before.
Yeah.
Was it grass before?
grass.
Well, it was.
Well, it's-
That wasn't
Pretty much
replaced,
the same.
it's a new.
Yeah,
There's been grooming that's occurred that from the maintenance standpoint, you have to level up the rubber and some of the other stuff. And then eventually that rubber just.
Okay.
All right, anything else on bid alternate 2?
No.
All right, number 3. Okay, so number 3 was the adding the decorative wall tile to the walls in the commons. The base bid is painted drywall, painted blue there. The alternate adds porcelain wall tile in the commons as shown in the interior elevations of the drawings in the bid documents. Betty was kind enough to grab a rendering for tonight's meeting for this too, showing exactly what this bid alternate is all about. So it's basically the really nice wall tile on the walls here, adding to aesthetics and durability. Yeah, really nice thing to have, but it does cost a little extra money. It's the bid for that came in at $49,349. And then if you apply the insurance and soft costs and all those things, you have to add another $5,700. So the grand total on that, if we were to add to the project, is $55,136.
So these will just in general help the walls to stay in better shape, I assume. Easier to
Yes.
clean, but fewer nicks.
Yeah,
Is it gonna make not that drywall absorbs a lot of sound, but tile isn't gonna absorb any. And that's already a pretty big space. Is there any thought on what it's gonna do for noise level in there?
There's a negligible difference between tile and drywall.
I think this is a nice enhancement. I'm also excited about the durability factor, but this is gonna be the place where everyone walks in to see, and I think this will be beautiful. A great front door to our community, which I heard at the chamber luncheon a week ago, affects more than the families that use our school district. This is attracting young employees to our area. When bringing professionals into our community to consider moving their families and working here, they bring them to school.
Many schools I've been in with, you know, first impression, there's sometimes you walk in, you're like, you know, I thought this would be bigger or, you know, a little nicer to kind of first impression when you're going to these, you know, volleyball games, softball games all the time. So, you know, having that awe factor, I mean, that's really the place, you know, to have it type of thing.
All right, any other discussion on the wall tile? All right, bid alternate 4. All right, so this one is add window area casework to all classrooms. So essentially what it is basically these bookshelves right here with the what you're seeing on top of the bookshelves is a seat, basically a fabric cushion. So it's all casework for this area, but and again that would be in every classroom. Okay, so the base bid is no casework in this window area, and the alternate is to add in this casework and benches right here. The number for that is 142,810 with the multipliers 16,747 for a grand total of 159,557, and that's for all. Like I said, adding that detail to all classrooms.
What is the teacher aspect of this?
Just a little perspective. If they don't have casework like this and bookshelves like this, typically teachers will create it themselves and buy it out of their own pocket. So put that in perspective.
This did seem like something that teachers are pretty excited about, having this live reading areas for places where they can sit.
Yeah, or else they'd have to create their own, and they would because they're very dedicated, but should they too? Probably not.
I think that's pretty easy. If it's something they feel like they're gonna do on their own, we should probably take care of that.
Very well. What they ended up doing better.
Yeah, she's more consistent.
Concrete blocks and.
Yeah.
People.
Two by-
IKEA furniture.
We're gonna not knock any corporate brands. Okay, I see everyone has flipped their page, so let's go on to number 5.
All right. Okay, so similar to the last one, it's a casework bid alternate. So bid alternate 5 is add casework like you see here, not the, please ignore the printer, please ignore the small appliances, but we're talking about the casework and the countertops themselves. And it would be in all of the PLC rooms. So base bid is none of this is here. Alternate is you add all these casework items, and so there's 3 rooms that belongs in. You can see sort of try to put the plan view in. So it's like this section of casework here, that's in area D, and then second floor you got casework here, and then first floor casework here.
And the PLC workroom is going to be a room that it's kind of a overflow classroom that you could set up a unit and have it set up for a few days. No.
So this is a room where teachers would meet in and collaborate and do their lesson planning, and their time together on Wednesday mornings, their planning time together. And then they would store their shared curriculums and resources in this space. So everyone has access to it at all times without having to house it in one of their rooms.
Great.
I think this casework is essential, they need storage.
Otherwise, it's a room.
Hard to have a workspace without some sort of countertop, especially if they're preparing, units to go forward. No one wants to move them back and forth between their rooms. So
And with the
volunteers
volunteer there,
can go in there.
organizing all of their things and getting it ready for the weeks of this.
Storage space room.
Yes.
And
All
it's
right.
like $1,000 a room. Like that's what cabinets cost.
Exactly right.
And this is just a little bit like, hey, we see you and the hard work you guys do, and you deserve a working, functioning space like every other profession.
All right. Any other discussion on bid alternate 5
You're good.
by 6?
Oh, all right.
I do see there's in this rendering, at least there's a microwave and a refrigerator. Is there a plan that this is where teachers will eat?
They certainly can with their team. Our staff lounge planned in the new building is a little bit smaller. It certainly wouldn't house everyone. I'm really hoping our schedule will allow for some students to be at lunch, some students to be at recess and then flip. So we have that entire block open. And so we won't be able to house the entire teaching staff in the staff lounge. And so this would be a space that they could eat together too.
I know we bid this out without a sink, but.
There's a bathroom attached to it.
Oh, there is.
But yes.
I would,
Okay.
I've talked about
so you see the one that has the napkin,
the paper
the
towels.
paper towels there. That's originally was a sink cabinet. Right beside the microwave. That is, one of the VE things that was taken in,
The sinks.
the sinks, yeah.
And that could be, again, a discussion down the road
Yeah.
with some additional, like I said, if we turn the design contingency into an owner, that can be something easily added if it felt like it's needed, type of thing. So nothing we have to vote on today, but something would be down the road.
So we keep that in mind to have a discussion.
Yeah,
about
for sure. Mhm.
Because we're saying your dishes in the bathroom, isn't.
Very
Right.
interesting.
All right. Next alternate is bid alternate 6. This is the add athletic equipment. So this idea for the alternate came from the VE process, where perhaps we could sort of compartmentalize some of the spending on these components for the gym. So basketball hoops / goals, volleyball nets and the posts and associated inserts, the gym divider curtain, the gym wrestling mat hoist that you see here rendered, and any other kinds of odds and ends for the Phi Ed program.
I did talk with Patty beforehand. The two other things that kind of, et cetera, minus any miscellaneous things for each of these. For the volleyball, that would include the judge stands. So that would be part of it. And then the Draper gym control, sounds like it's a overall iPad system that you can control what goes up and down with the basketball hoops kind of thing. So that would be all inclusive in this. Oh, and yeah.
In the curtain.
That
Yeah.
system controls the curtain.
Oh,
the
yeah.
hoops, the
In the hoops.
But this doesn't include the stuff that like the PE. Or like this is like athletic infrastructure, more so than like what the PE classes and indoor recesses are gonna be.
correct. There's no balls, there's no.
Okay.
Yeah, all right.
Are the scoreboards on this?
Scoreboard's not.
I said, I think that's when you came in, that came in.
The owner line item. So it's an allowance.
Yeah, scoreboards is another line item, kind of near the FF&E.
Owner procurement, we are already planning to buy the scoreboard, so.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think there's a question here on like hoop and goals, like these are the baskets,
The basket.
backboards.
Yeah.
In the arms and, yeah. I think
Yep.
it's-
I got it. Yeah, just the terminology that we're being careful, like the hoop is literally like the hoop, but like the way these basketball hoop providers, the way they call it, they call it the goal, and so it's like the whole apparatus.
in the picture, all of the arm and everything,
Mhm.
and the system to run it, and the motor and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
Like if we're gonna have the gym, we're gonna have to have the hoops and everything to go with it, so. I think it's another thing that you mentioned about the tennis building that would be a good opportunity to do some fundraising to offset that cost.
Yeah, I don't love the way they're bundled because I feel like there are some parts that could be potentially come later. I guess I don't know anything about rolling out a wrestling mat if you need a hoist, but that thing looks really big and expensive.
You'd almost have to if you're gonna be wrestling there, otherwise all the mats would be across the road. So you'd have to haul them across the street,
storing 'em
or
on the
you'd have to
ground
have a
somewhere.
room built to store them in.
I guess the good thing about, you know, the kind of bird in the hand, if you will, with this is that this is a competitively bid price on all the stuff, which you know, kind of helps out. Like
Yeah,
that part's done, you know, went out to the street. And
This is the first time we kind of had a third option of allowance. That'll come more in effect here in a couple of next ones, but I think that this being competitive bid, very specific, manufacturers, and we have the whole process with substitution requests that like, this would be something I think it's either in or out, not as an allowance, because that would get a little hairy, so. But we'll have some other ones, we'll talk deeper in the allowances, but.
But I do, you know, again, this is an investment both in the building, the district and the community, and to have this ready to go the day the doors open, that means more events that we can host here, more revenue generating. Yeah, again, it's dreamy that we can talk about including it in the project, because that's not something I thought was gonna be possible, so, yeah.
Yeah,
this is what-
you're
if we wouldn't have money now, I would say this would be the easiest one to fundraise for, but since the bid did come in low, it just seems to make a lot of sense to, go ahead and install this while we're building the gym.
be a turnkey way to go.
Mhm.
Okay, anything else on alternate 6? You can go to number 7. 7, we just have a placeholder for right now. On bid day, we didn't have any fence bids, so we'll come back to this one, but it'll be for the black vinyl coated chain link. I think we'll want to do that. It's not a giant price increase, and it looks so much better than the galvanized. But again, it's your decision. So, but we'll come back to you when we have numbers for that.
Best way that we'll do that is just so we don't have to wait. You know, obviously we just need to we're working to get to the GMP. What we'll do is, like we have on here as an allowance, so we won't come back and ask as an alternate because we need to keep moving. So what we'll probably do is look at having that as a separate allowance, saying, okay, we'll reach out and get a feel and say, it's 15,000 upgrade or 20,000. We'll make sure that's in our number when we go to the GMP. It'll just be a matter, once we get those competitive bids back, we can fund it with wherever that allowance is, and if it's under what we figured, and that can just get rolled into the contingencies or how we go about it. So
what do you do to get bids? Do you contact people now and look them up
yeah,
yourself?
so we'll kind of do the same process with how we did with everything else, since we didn't get any bids. So really go through the same process just for one contract. And fencing be at the end is not a rush. The only thing we had is we did have them carrying the temp fence as part of it, but we can, again, we had that as an allowance before. We're gonna put it into their contract just to make them have it, but we can just do that separately and just hire a DNN fence or whoever's around here just to do our temporary fence, so it won't slow anything up. So
yeah.
I see this overall not really circling back. It's really just gonna be that allowance checkbox for tonight.
All right. Okay, so it's fence. This is bid alternate 8. So add spectator bleachers to the gym. So the base bid is no bleachers in the gym to be procured in the future. This alternate is to include the gym bleachers turnkey in the project at large. So we got multiple quotes on bid day for bleachers. The apparent low on electrical has a little number in there to make sure that we have power to the bleachers, to allow them to electronically fold in and out. Grand total on that one, 224,829. And here's so a nice rendering from Emergent on what those would look like. And then we also put the plan view in here as well, so you can see that.
And Tom, this is bleachers. Because the bleachers were looked at a couple different ways. There was the initial bleachers, then there was the larger gym bleachers. This is the larger gym bleachers.
I believe that's correct.
Based on that
Right,
number,
yeah.
but-
Mhm.
Yep. Like if you're going all the way back to what size bleachers did we have when it was just a normal smaller gym, and now that we have a bigger gym. But yeah, these would be the big gym bleachers, I guess, if I'm hearing you right.
Yeah, when it was just bleachers on one side, I want to say it was in the $60,000 to $80,000 range, and we had estimated to do bleachers on both sides. It was gonna be closer to the 225, actually. I think that estimate kind of hit right on the number.
Oh yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, let's go back and look. I bet you that is pretty close.
At one point, weren't bleachers in our procurement list?
We
Or
talked about it,
some of them?
well, you can't do part of them. I thought when they were in our procurement list, they ended up on the bid alternate.
Okay, so we changed that and they weren't.
I think what we figured was, like, as I said, I think a couple board members I talked to, I thought this meeting was gonna be about us cutting stuff out, to get under, and I think we said, well, let's put bleachers on the bid alternate, so at least know what they cost, figuring that we weren't gonna have them day one, or year one, or year two. But of course, with the numbers where they're at, we have the option of not having them at the beginning. I see no reason not to be putting this in the project with the scope of where we're at.
We're putting all the other athletic equipment in. You need somewhere is that, we're not gonna fill it with folding chairs.
Right.
It was competitively bid, again, get back to that, that's. If you would do it in the future, it's a pretty big number. So.
Undertaking,
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that was bid alternate 8. All right, bid alternate 9, it's a smaller one. So this one was to add decorative window tinting to windows. So the base bid is just glass as scheduled, so normal windows. And this is to add exterior window decorative tint or film. The alternate price that came in was 5,850. And then with the soft cost multipliers, it's 6,536. We gotta be careful with that one too, though, because it can be pretty open-ended in what design goes on the windows and where and the quantities, and so we just have to make sure that number one, the window provider understands what we want and where, and to make sure that their price still stands. So probably something that Emergent and us will have to work through, but
Is the purpose of this for aesthetics, security, both?
So if you remember back to the beginning designs, we had these treehouse ideas that the kids could go in and sit and read, and during the design process and BE, we needed to go through and simplify everything. So this is an opportunity to still allow that treehouse feeling in those areas with the other simplification that we had to do in there.
So meaning that there would be like an illustration or an image on the window instead of just looking out.
And it would still be translucent to look through. But still
Is
getting
that typical in elementary school projects that you're designing? Or I just haven't seen anything like that before, so I don't know much
The
about it.
theming of buildings, the graphics, and imagery on the walls and on the glass is becoming a lot more common.
Mhm.
And then now this was sort of stepping back from what the original design was when we kind of had, if you remember, so these like popped out at one
Right,
point and they had
three-dimensional.
bright colors, and then there was 3 different shades of green glass on there with angled mullions, and so we dialed that back and we flattened it out, and then we dialed that back and got rid of any of the mullions, and so this is an opportunity to put a little bit of design thought into that glass at a very cost effective. It also would be, a lot of the theming that they do in buildings and stuff with the stick-on graphics and stuff can be changed. So then after, it kind of gets old or you get tired of it in 6 years or 8 years, and then you take it off and you put a different type of theme up there. I think like there's a graphic on here, but I don't think it's vetted the way that it probably should be. I think
Placeholder.
we put it in there as a square footage thing. And so I think this one and this next one, which is also essentially the same thing, except for on the walls on the inside. I think it would make sense to have this be an allowance. And then have that be something that we maybe work on with the teachers and the staff. We've done this in a lot of the schools that we're doing now, and we've gotten student participation with some things and doing sketches or getting themes and getting them excited about it. So I think that would be a neat opportunity maybe to like get them involved and maybe picking out what some of the themes of the spaces are.
It'd be such an easy one to add later. It feels like it could be the kind of thing that a teacher is like after 2 years in the classroom and says, oh, this is what would be really actually helpful or meaningful, as opposed to now it's like, well, this is here and it sort of has a weird shadow on the floor or something. I know it's also very, very, very low cost. It's like pennies, but
I think about it from the sense of where the building is located, where we're looking out from. And I don't know why we would want to put something on the window that's going to detract from where we're already looking out. We're looking out at the valley, straight up at the bluffs. I don't know that we need anything to add inspiration to what they're already seeing. In fact, I think it would detract by, at least the image here. I would say this would detract from me wanting to look out the window and be like, oh, look how amazing the place is that we live.
Is this seen from the inside, outside, both?
It should be both.
Yeah.
So if, I think, Nick, I just want to make sure that I heard you correctly. You were suggesting that we take bid alternate number 9 and 10 to make them both allowances, to make decisions later on visually how we want the color schematics, the design. So I guess.
Which none of it in certain places could be certainly one of the solutions also.
Right, so I think if by, not needing to spend a ton of time on deciding what, if anything, we need on the windows, that money could be used for this purpose or reinvested to other graphics or visuals in the building.
Yes, what we
Not on the
do
glass.
is pretty much reject this alternate. And then on the next process, the rest of this week to get ready for the GMP would be talking through what we want that allowance to be. Like, we don't have to make a decision tonight, and we put 10,000 because it was 6,500 for the FID. So the thought would be is for tonight's concept, we would vote and reject this alternate, but then we'll work the rest of the week to figure out what that allowance we want to put in there. It could be 10,000. We could put 20,000 if you wanted to, whatever that is. That's just what we'll have to kind of work as all of us for what we want that GMP to look like. So for tonight, I would say that it's rejected, and then we work, firm that up in the GMP.
Can you clarify for me the allowance? So if we put that in, I get that it's sort of this flex funding that gets figured out later.
Yep.
But say if then we decide that, no, we just don't want any of these window decals, what happens to that $10,000 allowance?
Yep, so we make an allowance, and we name it what it is, so it has to go to that, so like, say, yeah, we do 10,000, we name it for window film. If we decide it's never gonna happen, there's multiple ways we can do, we can say, all right, let's do a internal change order type thing, where we take that $10,000 fund and put it either to maybe another allowance, you know, or back to the owner's contingency. So we always want to have those breadcrumbs. Okay, we started with this 10,000 earmarked, but it's not like, oh, we can use it for dirt work type stuff. So it's, and if we get a bid and do the work and it's 5,000, then it ends up at the extra 5,000 would be, again, put to wherever you want to put it, either to another allowance for your funding or just to the owner contingency, and which would just be your own funds. So,
And with these contingencies at the end of the project, if they aren't all used, the owner gets those credited back.
Correct.
so that kind of goes with number 9. And if we go to number 10, like Nick was saying, this one kind of all over the board. You know, I don't know exactly how they come up with it, 109,000 or 97,994. Be that specific. So we kind of look at it the same way as rejecting it and then working out a final 100,000, 150,000. That allows you to just, it'll actually probably be cheaper, because if we don't run it through the painter, who usually doesn't do it, they'd have to hire someone else anyways. We could use, someone had mentioned, I think Pinhole had mentioned, there's a decal place, there's Versus Group, and then there was another place around here that maybe does it as well. So, so then we could work with them directly and probably get a lower price instead of it running it through the painter. So that's another good reason why to do that. So,
yeah, the process can go a lot faster that way too sometimes, because you'll see as you get in here with these wall decks that it'll be, oh, let's just tweak this, let's tweak that, can we get the image moved off of this particular seam? And there's a lot of back and forth between the proofs and everything before somebody finally hits print. So it's an ordeal. So going direct does have its advantages.
Tori or Curtis, did you have any opinions on the vinyl graphics on windows?
I feel less passionate about bid alternate 9 than I do about 10. And the only reason I say that is because 10 is in that common area, and it's a place of like togetherness and bringing our community in to our space, and to have that opportunity, similar to the porcelain tiles too, like that's the face, right? Everybody walks in, and I trust that Nick and Patty can make it a real like wow factor too, of like, wow, I want my kids at this building. I want to be here. Yeah, right. It's the opposite side. And for our students to enjoy during their community socializing time too. The window planes in the classroom, I have not gotten a lot of feedback from teachers either way, so it's hard to say, but I think we'd be fine looking outside. We're gonna be grateful for windows, guys. Period.
This number 10, also it shows there's some in the gym here, there's this wall, but there's also other places in the school that it's not just these 2 locations.
And the one in this room that you're showing, that's the bluff that is along the wall, that's vinyl?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the advantage of doing that over someone painting it, I mean,
It's a lot more cost effective to have a vinyl.
Yeah, and
and more vibrant.
and how long does a vinyl stick?
Oh,
What's the lifespan of this, of doing that on the wall?
I would just say the working in a building that's just been remodeled. The vinyl that was in the building pre-remodel was pretty rough.
I have some, sorry,
Yeah, so I mean, I see the wow factor, but I also see, ooh, what this can look like in a few years down the road.
And you're talking about vinyl that's been up for how many years would you estimate? Do you have any idea?
5 to 10.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, a kid rubbing up against it. I mean, I don't wanna say that kids pick at things, but kids pick at things, and if you can find the seam.
I just have concerns about that large of a vinyl graphic off-gassing in an early childhood setting. And I think that that is a very common room that's gonna get used a lot. And there are some real nasty things that come off of vinyl. And I value the wow factor, but I think that there could be some, again, really cool opportunities for student involvement in design of a painted mural that's filling that space. And I would like to see some other conversations around what that particular wall looks like. The other ones that are much smaller in scale or that are in other places that aren't shown, you know, we'll see maybe one up on a gym wall where nobody's gonna touch it will last and be fine.
Yeah.
But
Like this one, this
But-
one.
Yep.
Like this one.
Blake, your suggestion
With you. Yeah.
is to keep the allowance or
Yeah, I was,
to reject it?
well. For what today is, we're voting either yes or no, so technically we'd
Okay.
be rejecting it.
Okay,
And then as a GMP process for next week, we'll decide on what that allowance looks like. So again, we at least earmark 100,000, and then if we don't do that wall or decide to do something kind of different with it, you know, we can give that back, but at least we have something so we don't have to, you know, have some, you know, take from contingency or owner contingency. So,
Okay.
so there can be a lot more discussion at a later date instead of a decision tonight.
Mhm.
I have some
I agree
other
with that.
concerns.
Yeah, I could see us painting the word Decorah or something on that wall instead of it being this incredibly long wall that's all
that's a
vinyl. It's
huge
like,
graphic, like, that's gonna be like 20 panels.
so, I mean,
Yeah, we'll have time to address it.
Yeah,
All right. 11.
Okay. All right, 11 is the decorative railing at the nest area. So if you remember, the nest area is kind of at the top of the stairs coming up out of the commons, going up to second floor. And there is a, you know, like a little study area, student area right at the sort of top level looking out into the commons. And then this is your handrail guardrail that you know, it's your safety, and then it's also, you know, aesthetically pleasing. So it's the base bid is just kind of standard safety pipe rail railing, and the this alternate is yeah, it's for what you see pictured here basically. So you're gonna have a steel component of it, and you're gonna have kind of casework-ish component of it, which is done by General Trades. Grand total on that one, 17,247. Yeah,
I don't quite understand the schematic in front of me, but I do think, you know,
there I can
I think
scroll in a little bit.
17,000 to make the railing a little bit more inviting.
Let's move it.
I don't see a problem with that.
The visuals from the photos. Yes.
Good with that? You good?
Mm,
Well,
Okay, number 12. More of a simple one, I guess. It's just basically the tennis court lighting. You know, it's a highly sought after scope item. Just not sure if we could afford it, and so that's why it's made into a bid alternate. The base bid is the electrical rough-in only, and the alternate is to add the light poles with the exterior athletic lighting at the tennis courts as shown. Total price tag there, 115,596.
I think it's a no-brainer to say we should be adding lighting. The question I have in mind is there a way to do it as solar lighting? So we've got panels up there, they're absorbing through the day. When evening hits, the lights kick on. I don't know anything on what that side of things looks like, but yes, let's light them. So
I think the community would be very happy with lights.
Maybe even willing to
Okay.
support them.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah. I feel like that's pretty competitive.
Yeah, so that's
In comparison to other lighting projects that we've done.
Lights are not cheap.
That
Especially those days.
price is
it's good, yeah.
way cheaper than we're gonna.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be close to double that.
Yeah, we thought it was
Yeah.
225 or
Yeah,
something.
that price is very like.
These aren't just like lights they got at Menards, they're gonna plug in.
I think Lowe's.
They didn't have competitive bids, right? Sold spec anything.
Are these I mean, how do the community use of the lights? Do they turn themselves a timer? Are they on from 5 to 10 PM?
They're just on
There's a-
switch now.
There's a timer system that's there that's old.
Yep.
It's probably in excess of 40 years old. I don't know what the specs are on this, but like our ability with our newer lights between our soccer and baseball lights, we have a lot of, it's all internet based, so the database, I would assume is somewhat included in the specs of this. To be able to have more control over it. And
Because you don't want a timer, someone can go in and turn them all on for 4 hours.
we want it to be able to, the community can be able to access it. I would lean on some of my other colleagues in some other communities who have the tennis courts and see what systems that they're using to still have the ability to have them turned off, but also making sure that we're getting, because that timer sometimes on the current system is cumbersome and not efficient. Now, the efficiency of these, I assume are LEDs and the specs is extremely way more energy efficient with LEDs than the halogen system.
These are LEDs. These are
Yeah.
LEDs.
So
We can check on the
last
control system.
the last two bids we did the soccer and the baseball lights, they wouldn't let us bid a halogen.
I don't think there is.
And I agree with you about the solar, and I did a quick search last week looking at solar, but as I was thinking through it, I think, to your point, I think we're much better off to just put panels at some point up on the building and have.
and maybe it runs the power that is.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. All right. And that was bid alternate 12. Okay, the next 3 bid alternates are kind of hand in hand. Bid alternate 13, 14, and 15. They're all about potentially looking at different controls. We had train as the basis of design, basically because that's what the other existing buildings in the district use. We didn't want to, and this is KED Bluestone, Joe Weeks talking, but obviously you don't want to sole spec train, give them kind of a wide open look at the job. We want to keep them competitive and open it up to some other competitive bids. And so this is how that shook out. So bid alternate 13 is Johnson Controls, and that came in as a potential savings if we went with JCI of 55,863. The next alternate, number 14, was Woodman Controls, and that would be a savings from the base bid of 83,795. Another option was alternate 15 for Schneider Controls. Now they were more expensive than base bid by 55,863. This is according to the low bid mechanical bidder. This is what they entered for their 3 alternates. And then of course train is again base bid, no change from basis of design, so that would be a $0 change.
What if it were-
Yeah.
Well, and I was gonna look at Curtis and ask the question, so I'm assuming that having them all be the same across the district means that people are having to learn less and it's more operable, but what are your thoughts on this?
Like I said this morning, having trained what we already have, you know, it's just integrates much better. Also, if we have them as kind of the broad scope of all of our buildings, when we have problems, they're a little more, you know, willing to get here and get answers and stuff like that. Also another, which really doesn't have much to do with this other than the customer service from Train, the energy policy that we've enacted went from 1 paragraph to 4 or 5 pages. And a couple of those pages are how I am going to figure out how to, you know, increase our savings each year and all of that. Train, we're in the very beginning stages of it, but they have a program that they analyze our electrical bill and our gas bill and then work a system that will give us the savings that we want, because they took the policy to build it to exactly what we're asking for. That is free. What they base that on is they'll give us what you gotta have, and then you're gonna need to buy this program to make it happen, kind of thing. So, I mean, can we operate without Train? Yeah, I mean, it's just open another program. We can do it, but I like working with them. They're very good, very approachable, as I'm sure these other companies probably are too, but I mean, it is a familiarity factor too. So I'm not married to them, but would like to stay with them if we can.
Sounds like a, yeah.
And you save money by,
Well, you could have saved
Down the
money by
road.
going and cut one.
no, here by not taking these other.
Well,
Two of them are
these
cheaper.
savings.
These two would actually save us, would deal with that.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion for tonight on these controls contractors?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Okay. All right, and then finally, bid alternate 16. This was about rammed aggregate piers under the concrete slabs of the building itself. So according to the geotechnical report, you know, we have quite a bit of unsuitable subgrade to deal with. So we're going to strip off the site, going pretty deep for most of it. And then you got to bring in engineered fill, up to 6 feet of it in some places. So, so there's kind of 2 conditions to think about. One is under-footing. So that's the under the foundations of the building itself, all the load-bearing structural pieces. Those already had rammed aggregate piers as per the base bid. So that contractor will be on site regardless. And so the idea is, do we put these rammed aggregate piers under the slab as well? And that way we could eliminate so much over excavation of the unsuitable soils and engineered fill. So yeah, again, just like it says there, so not only under footings and or not only rammed aggregate piers under footings, but also under slabs. And so there's a giant piece of savings for that idea from the earthwork contractor of $251,000 in fill they don't have to replace. And then you have, of course, the add those piling system, add those piles, you know, in a grid pattern under the slab. And so And of course, the multipliers in that way, we're basically reducing the cost of construction itself, which would reduce how much insurance, which would reduce how much contingency and that kind of thing. So as construction costs goes down, the multipliers go down. So the grand total savings for this bid alternate is $236,381. I have, just for reference, a little snippet of the geotechnical report, give you an idea of some of the boring locations as to how much fill they need to replace. Pictured here on the left is sort of just a quick example of what I mean by the aggregate piers. So a drilling operation there. But yeah, I don't know, Blake, anything else you want to cover on this item? Otherwise, it really doesn't. Oh, go ahead.
Biggest thing was, this came up actually from that Rainmaker Pier people, because they just didn't understand why we would be digging 6 foot deep, bring this fill in, then do piers underneath the footings, and then fill that back up, plus then we're raising the building 3 foot. So it just seemed like a lot of extra fill, this and that. So they called both engineers, the soil engineers, say, hey, if we do a grid pattern around for the slab too, because the whole issue was the poor soils, but it sounded like it's not even, some of it's not even poor soils, it's like glass and car parts and things like that. So it wasn't a type of thing where so we wouldn't get all that out of there, but so we're worried about settlement. But now doing it under the slab as well, that is going to help us with any of the settlement issues and just doing it that way. It also is going to help us extremely for getting started out of the ground, especially being spring, instead of digging a giant swimming pool and weather related issues. This allows us to first come in, strip topsoil, build the building pad up, and then go right into Randbag repair. So schedule wise, it's a great, we'll be able to get started quicker and better chance of less weather issues being spring when we start digging. So that was just a voluntary alternate type of deal that kind of came up, and we wanted to competitively bid it, so we threw it on for this.
Yeah, well, this is a solution that I certainly had not imagined, but one of my fears about this project is just the location and the complexity of the site and the existing riverbed that used as a dump, whatever. So I think this is fascinating, and it doesn't seem like there's any reason not to do it.
I mean, I'm assuming the engineer, like, you guys have signed off on this?
So like they reached out to Chosen Valley Testing, correct?
Yes.
They are the ones that did the initial soils report and testing for that. Did they reach out to the structural engineer as well? Okay.
Yep. So yeah, they reached out. So the piers are technically, it's what's called a delegated design. So it's really, they actually look at the soils reports, they do the engineering, they figure out whatever depth and what they need to do to get the bearing pressure for holding the foundations to the slab. So they do all that work. They send it as a submittal. Structural engineer will look at it, but they are pretty much the engineers on it, the Randager Pier contractor. But we did check just to make sure that with structural and everything, that they didn't have any issues with it. So they talked to both of them and reached out. So
so yeah, our structural engineer will say, we need this amount of bearing pressure at the footings, we need this amount of bearing pressure at the slab, and it's their job to make sure that it meets that.
Right, it's just a great idea and helps offset some of the other items, and I think it's constructability wise, I want it. So make my life a little bit easier every time it rains, freaking out of what's going on.
Rammed aggregate piers was used on the high school. That's the way that the soils were settled there.
Same thing where they ran into a few piers, where they ran into a few things on the way down, but it was a great process.
Yeah.
Super cool.
It's pretty amazing.
So we've come to the end of our list. And I wanted to, so I've been taking a few notes as we went, and the only ones that were rejected in the moment were number 9 and 10. Which were the glass film and then the vinyl graphics. But I want to pause to give time for any last questions or comments by the board or any concerns to share.
13, 14, 15 were rejected from that as well.
Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Correct.
Sticking with that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Those are all.
You talked about 7 as an allowance as well, the fence.
Oh.
Didn't have.
We don't have
so that's pretty much, we'll call it a reject, so 7, 9, 10, 13, 14, 15 is what I would have marked down as what we would reject tonight.
Yep.
And I did some quick math. So Tom, you can check me, but the ads with taking all the ads would make a 1,253,719. And then with that deduct of number 16, that actually brings the we would be voting on for all these alternate ads, and that deduct is 1,017,338. So that is a difference from what when we started with the the all in 100 for 1,133,361 or bid alternates, a difference of 116,000. So it actually be less than when we started. So
like you said, 1,017,338.
correct is what with accepting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 11, 12, and 16.
And that's with the potential of some of those rejected being added as allowances, correct?
No.
That wouldn't have any cost in this one. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So
Right.
those
But
other ones will go into
The overall,
yeah, the overall number, those will have to be put in for the GMP part of it, but for accepting the night for actual alternates.
Final comments or questions or discussion from the board?
Yes, thank you.
I think we hit everything pretty good as we went through each topic, so. No, I have any ones.
Is this an item we need to?
I would like us to have a vote on, or to take a vote on the alternates that we are approving tonight.
So in the motion, we would want to include like, which ones were,
Probably.
And just one last piece, so then if you were to look back at your front sheet. As bid post cost, so the project total with alternates, that would be updated to 41,745,984. So that would be like if they would do a GMP, that would be what it is. But I just want to preface it, that's after base bid. These alternates, that number could change come next Monday as we discuss these other allowances. So some of those other allowances that need to get moved in, as well as we talked about owner contingency. If it's, we keep the 600 or if we want to add to that,
Right.
those are conversations we have to have this week. So I just want to make sure that we address that.
Right, which
That's
is
what-
why I want us to be super clear with you tonight,
Yeah.
the decisions that we're making tonight, so then your team, everyone can get to work to prepare the final phase and the scope of the project, so then we'll have final numbers to review next Monday night,
Yes.
right? That's the goal?
well, I'd make a motion that we approve bid alternates number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, number 8, number 11, number 12, and number 16.
I'll second.
I'm hearing a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay.
Do we need to do any sort of motion about the allowances?
No, that'll be more for next week's discussion, so we'll have to. So what we'll present next week will be the GMP with the backup of what allowances we are gonna put in there. So those will be things like we'll discuss with the team. We come with our what we think it needs to be, and we'll explain what each allowance is. And that's how that will get voted on and for that final number. So we just have to kind of dial in what we want those different allowances and contingencies to be, but this is definitely a great step in the right direction. So, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we've reached the end of our agenda, so I'll call the meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.